I'm happy to be here with you. And listen, normally I'm always yelling and screaming and riding a giraffe and eating candy. But today, it doesn't mean that I'm less happy. It's because I want to talk about something that is super important and personal to me. This is trust and will. And so what we're offering today is an individual or couple estate planning program. So we want you to know what that is. This is how you plan for when you are not here, or when you want someone to take over care of your children or your pets or your finances. That's what this is. It's the individual or the couple estate planning program. We have two different prices. For the individual, it's $199 normally, but today we have it for $139. And you can also get it for a couple. So if you're married, we'd love you to take advantage of that. Normally it's $199, normally it's $299. We have it for $199.98. So individual, $139.98, and for the couples, it's $199.98. But let's look at that easy pay, because we want it to be easy for you. For the individual, it's $28. 5 of those brings us home. And for the couple, $40. That's the easy pay. So you're asking, okay, TJ, what is this? This is a great way to plan your future so that people don't have to ask or try to guess what your wishes were. So here's what you're going to get. You're going to get this 1-year voucher for this will-based estate plan. And you're also going to get 2 folders. Well, one is a hard copy of everything. You're going to get it in the mail, and it looks like this. That's what you're going to get, and it's a hard copy. And you're also going to get another one, depending on which one you want, for the couple and for the individual. And you can see what they look like here. So you're also getting the last will and testament, you're getting the HIPAA authorization, the living will, and you're also getting a power of attorney. And so we'll jump into what that is with our friend Paige Rolovich, but I want to let you know that 34% of people in our country have a will. The rest of us are wondering what to do, or the rest of us could be caught in a bad situation where we don't know what our loved ones would have wanted. And let's take a video, look at the video, and see what that is. As you see, it's trust and will. It's easy to do. And you can see you can click on the will, whatever you need. You can choose your plan and what you want. While you're looking at that video, I want to bring in Paige Rolovich, who's always bringing us innovative electronic designs and inventions and things like that. And Paige, you and I have done this. I think we've done this 2 or 3 times before. And so I love working with you because you make something that's normally complicated and probably taboo and maybe a little depressing. You make it so easy and fun, and you help us feel empowered. So Paige, thank you for being here today. And let's just talk about, that percentage, that 34% of us have a will and the rest of us do not.
Yes, because this all happens because wills are typically one of the most overlooked parts of our financial wellness. And the reason is, you couldn't have said it any better, TJ. I think most of us feel that it's this super depressing and daunting and heavy conversation. And I think what you'll notice, and I hope that everyone hears me right now, whenever I talk about trust and will, TJ, I just fill up with joy. I think this is the most beautiful and meaningful gift that you could give your friends, your loved ones, so that they then know or have your instruction book. And I really think of this as your own personal owner's manual. And we're going to break it down for you during this hour. But they have taken something complicated, they've simplified it, they've made it super affordable and very accessible for everyone. Because back in the day, I think we've talked about this before, TJ, thousands of dollars can be spent in the law offices trying to create this will. And if you're like me, I have stories to tell you. I hid it in a safety deposit box. No one knew where that was or what it was or if I had even done it. So this is why we wanted to take a full hour with everyone, really break it down and show you how Trust and Will made this so very simple. And in 20 minutes, we're going to be able to create a will. It's awesome.
I love that. Here's what you said: so easy, so affordable, but also you kind of debunk the myth and all the stuff that comes with the stigma of, I don't want to talk about that. And so you and I have talked about this, and every time it gets me, because my father passed away, and my sister and I had to figure out what to do when we were figuring out when he passed away. And my aunt was always telling my dad, hey, you need to get your will together. And he would always say, I ain't going anywhere, I ain't going anywhere. And my dad died without a will. And so my sister and I spent time with dealing with probate court, and then we also had, and she's probably watching, we had a tough time dealing with my aunt, and I wish we would have had something like this so it would have been simple. Because when you're grieving, the last thing you want to do is make decisions about finances and who gets what, and people get nasty, and it's almost like you forget that you're family. And this is something that you can get straight from whoever needs it, whether you're an individual or a couple, and says, this is what I want, this is the bike I want you to have, or this is the home I want you to have, or these are the stocks I want you to have. You think it won't happen to you until it happens to you. And I feel like as much as you don't want to worry about planning for it, somebody has to. And I feel like no one wants to talk about death because it seems morbid. But if you don't talk about it, someone else is going to have to deal with it. And I would rather plan so that my sister or my mom or my niece doesn't have to deal with me not being here on top of everything else. Or at least even like, where's my safety deposit box? What do I do? What money do I want them to have? And so I love that this is here. And while, listen, I'm vulnerable enough to tell you how I felt, I also feel like if I can save someone from going through what I went through, and that was 5 years ago, and it's still affecting me, why wouldn't you do the same thing? So, Paige, if we can just kind of roll through what starts this, how do we get started, and the things we talk about, because you said it takes about 20 minutes. So if we can go through that, that would be great. And then I can kind of blink my tears away and not feel like I'm sitting on your couch.
You're in good company, my friend, because, we're all going through this amazing, beautiful journey called life, and Trust and Will is really here to help you navigate it. In fact, they've created this really easy online experience. So this is an online platform that actually is a guided experience. So you start as simple as getting a voucher at home. You're going to plug in that address and it starts walking you through. So you're going to pick that will, you're going to put your name, you're going to put your address and the state you live. And that's a key component, because as soon as you put that state in, it does customize and create a state specific will. Then it becomes this really Q&A, as I like to call it. They will ask you a question. Who would you like to be the guardian of your children? Mm-hmm. Who would you like to be the guardian of your pets? But they didn't just stop there. And I'm gonna talk about all these different buckets we're going through. And we're just showing you how quickly, it's everything from your HIPAA authorization, your living will, your power of attorney, and your guardian. And I honestly felt very overwhelmed the first time that I went through these. I thought, I didn't know what all this meant, but I did. I really did. And when they ask you a question, they must give you multiple choices. But they made me think of things so differently, and I shifted. So, back in the day when we had thought about, we were going on my very first trip with my husband when I had little babies. And I think they were about 5 years old by the time I got the courage to go away. And I needed to go away because I'm a mom and I'm tired and I had twins and my parents were kicking me out to go. And I couldn't figure out why I was dragging my feet. But I was dragging my feet because I knew in the back of my head I didn't have a will together. And the thought of going on a plane and leaving my family without this instruction book. And the instruction book is what I talk about so often because, TJ, I would go out on a date with my husband. I would leave all these directions and instructions for my parents, but I didn't create the most important instruction book. So when I pick, for example, guardians for my children, here's what they do so well. They didn't stop there. They said, well, who is the backup to that guardian? And how about the backup to the backup? So we're not only thinking about tomorrow, but Trust and Will is thinking about the next day, the day after, and so on. And so the most popular question I get, it sounds simple. People will say, what exactly is a will? And a will is that legally binding document that states your final wishes and how all your property, your assets will be distributed. So that would be property. It could be children, your pets. It could be possessions. It could be digital assets. There's so many new nuances to a will today that weren't there 10, 15 years ago. So let's just take a close look on top reasons why you want to create a will.
Okay.
Because we're even thinking about charitable donations. And I've been asked that question a lot because a lot of people are doing their taxes right now. So I often relate this. If you ever done a TurboTax, it's very similar in that same concept, but you can pick and donate to a specific cause. So we have that broken out for you. Maybe you want to think about your healthcare elective. TJ, I want to know my family's health history and I want to leave that for my children. So I want to make sure to give them the authority to have my health record so that they have that health
Yeah.
important information for them down the line. Maybe it's property, maybe it's bank accounts, but I always like to zone in on this. And you hit on it earlier. Um, there's also so many sentimental valuables that we have found, or I have found, that family conflict over. And maybe it was a porcelain collection, or maybe it was that old car in the driveway for 10 years that no one would touch, but now everyone wants. So we're just trying to take out all that family strife. We're trying to have it made in black and white because as you mentioned earlier, when you don't have a will, the unfortunate thing is then guess who makes those decisions for you? The government, state
Yep.
officials, judges, and they decide where it goes. So I'll say this: a will decides and makes sure everything goes where you want it to go, in its most basic concept. So how it starts: you go online, you answer all those questions. 20 minutes. I want to snap my fingers, and your will is finished. One thing I'll point out: you don't have to finish it in 20 minutes. If you're like me, I broke it up in little chunks. I did like 5 minutes here, and I would reflect on it. I would talk to my dad and talk to my husband and my cousins, and we would think about it. Kirsten, our friend here, Kirsten at QVC, she's very decisive. She did it in 20 minutes. And I'll grab my phone because you can do this on the phone. You can do it on a tablet. You can do it on a computer. And at the end, when you get that final product, you take it to get notarized, and then it's legally binding after you sign it. That's it. That easy, TJ.
I love that you said that because a lot of times people think, well, okay, I'm filling this out. Is this legally binding? Is it, well, I need to go to a lawyer to make sure it's official. That's not what this is. It is absolutely official. It just takes 20 minutes to do it. And I think that they have taken all the guesswork out of it and said, listen, this is what you need to do. And they've also taken out the whole, well, hey, come on in and let's talk about this. And we're glad you came here today. This is an important decision. It doesn't have to be heavy for you to say, look, these are my wishes. And so we're about 15 minutes in. I want to let you know, if you're just joining us, this is Trust and Will. And what it enables you to do is to set up an individual or a couple estate planning program. Let's look at that Easy Pay. It's $28 if you're an individual and you want to set it up, or it's $40 if you want to set it up as a couple. Let me give you the item number. It's E316684. And you can see some of the features. It's the last will and testament. It's the HIPAA authorization. It's a living will. It gives you power of attorney. And you can also use that child and pet guardian nomination. So these are the things that just some of the things that can help take the decision making off of your plate when you're dealing with sensitive times. Look, you're thinking about so many different things. People are calling. Where do we go? How do I get into the house? All the other things that you don't want to think about. And then guess what? If you don't, you're going to go to probate court. And guess what? You're probably going to need an attorney or some type of legal representative to help you sort that out. And it's never overnight. I'm telling you, it's not overnight. It takes a while, and it's all paperwork. And then you got to talk to people's employers and fill out this and everything else, and then social security numbers. And it's a mess. It's a mess. And that's the last thing you want to worry about when you're grieving and you're still picking up the pieces and figuring things out. So I love that this is available. And Paige, thank you for helping us sort this out, because a lot of times you go, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's too, well, listen, I just want to eat dinner. Let's watch the game. Or let's just eat and we'll talk about that later. I don't want to talk about it. But it's something that doesn't have to be bad. It could be, this is great. You know what? I know you love those porcelain trinkets and I want you to have them. This is great. Okay, can I have this? Wait a minute, I'm not gone yet. So just stay here. So I feel like there's a way to approach this and fix this. So I love that Trust and Will has made it approachable and accessible for everybody, and it doesn't feel so clinical.
Right. And it doesn't have to be. I mean, when you think about all those important people in your life, right? We've all worked so hard. I know that you want to provide for your family. So all of your effort, that you wouldn't make sure that you finish that plan. So we're just taking you to that finish line, and we're really helping you think about those things that you wouldn't have thought about before. For example, I touched on it earlier, but digital assets. Now, this was something that I didn't realize that was considered an asset, because a will is deciding how your assets will be distributed. I thought, oh, were there just pictures in the sky or anything that I posted online? But you even want to make sure that you have a beneficiary of your digital assets, if anyone, right? So these are all these